Let's call the meeting to order. It's 1:00, exactly 1:00. Can everyone mute their microphones? And then just remember when you wanna speak to turn them on and announce your name, just before you start speaking, um, so that everybody's names can be recorded. So, Anna, can we do a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Guillory? Oh, where'd she go?
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Destiny Hooper? Dr. Michael Nix? Roxanne Anderson?
Present.
Call the meeting to order. It's
Marie
1:00.
Fruget?
Exactly.
Melissa Bates?
Present.
Savannah Woodward? And Presiding Officer Lori Fremgen.
Present.
We do not have a quorum yet.
Okay. Okay, will you let us know when and if we do?
Of course, yes.
Okay. I'll save the introduction for our new board member when she's present.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, let's move on to agenda item. Oh, we're gonna table agenda item C
Yes.
for now. So let's move to the approval of minutes, agenda item D.
So
Anybody?
this one we will also have to table since we don't have a quorum.
We will.
We can
Yeah.
move that one down to the next agenda.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Okay. Public comment, item E, we don't have any public comment for this meeting. So let's just jump right into staff reports. Licensing, Leonard Rivas.
All right. Good afternoon, advisory board members. My name is Leonard Rivas. I'm the licensing manager for the Midwifery program, and you have a copy of the report in front of you. We have been extremely busy with your program. This first quarter for FY 2024, we processed 6 new applications. Y'all are keeping us really, really busy. The total population at the end of the first quarter for 2024 was 358. We will start picking up end of January, 1st of February in 2024 for renewals. That concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
That's great. It looks like our population just keeps growing.
It does keep growing, yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, education and examination, Michael Strawn.
Good morning. My name is Michael Strawn. I'm a manager for our Education Examination Division, and happy to give our report to our chair and our members today. As you can see on our page here, we have a total of 7 jurisprudence examinations for FY24 since we only had September reported. But we expect that number will be in line, if not increasing, as we saw the licensing numbers have increased. So typically the jurisprudence examinations follow exactly along with that. The Midwives school curriculum, still a total count of 4, no new approved curriculum at this point in time. And then moving on down to the update, there was a call in our last advisory board meeting to update the midwifery manual that we have. I know our team here in education has also met with our compliance division, and I believe they have another meeting set up about 2 weeks from now to finalize those manual updates. So we'll hopefully be able to get those back to you here very soon. That being said, that concludes my report, and I'm open to any questions you all have.
That's great. I'm glad the manual's getting updated.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Anybody? Okay, let's move on to customer service. Claudia Enriquez.
Hi, good morning, advisory board members. My name is Claudia Enriquez, and I'm the manager for this program in the customer service division. As you can see from our statistics report in front of you, we're in our new fiscal year 2024 and don't have too much data to compare at this moment. However, September did surpass the last fiscal year's number for the same month. Other than those statistics, that's all I have. I'm open to any questions you may have.
Okay, thanks, Claudia.
Thank you.
Let's go to enforcement. Chris Funderburg.
I have one quick question,
Okay.
please, Charlita Guillory. On the consumer service those are contacts. What's the most common one that they're calling in for?
Typically, they would be for application instructions or to see if a document has been received. Just confirmation, seeking confirmation.
No complaints come through this line, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thanks, Claudia. All right, Chris.
Yes, Madam Chair, board members, my name is Chris Funderburg. I'm a prosecutor with the TDR Enforcement Division. At your last meeting, you asked us to provide a kind of a brief overview of enforcement, the process of enforcement. So I'm going to try to integrate that into this report. I think that it's best to just kind of start with that general overview and then proceed from there. Hopefully, it will help place the statistics generated during this period into more context. So, so in the statistics division, all of these statistics are derived from enforcement's process of case resolution. The case resolution process starts when a complaint is filed. The identity of the complainant, the person who's made the complaint, determines which prosecution team this case is assigned to. Our intake division reviews these complaints, then ensures the department has jurisdiction over the violations alleged, and if yes, assigns it into one of two categories. The first, if the department has reviewed a licensed applicant's criminal history and found that a criminal conviction classified as a guideline crime is in that history, the department assigns that complaint to our criminal history team for their review. If the complaint is if the complainant is anyone else, another department division, a consumer, another state agency, then it's a program case. Our intake division reviews the cases, reviews that case, assigns it to an investigator to gather more evidence, and then the investigator sends that evidence on to a prosecutor for their determination on how to proceed. The complainant in these, if a complaint alleges a violation of the rules and laws we administer, we open a case to find out what happened, essentially. Now, despite their these distinct two categories, our criminal history and program cases share the same pool of potential resolutions. These resolutions are classified in one of two ways. If a case is closed after review and adoption by either TDLR's commission or by our executive director, it's classified as formally resolved. Any case resolved without their review and adoption is classified as an informal resolution. I think this distinction is a little easier when we should turn to the stats themselves. Also, please note that we've attempted to provide a broader perspective of our efforts, including stats based on the past 2 fiscal years. And one other important aspect of the program cases that I wanted to make clear is that this is a highly technical profession. We as attorneys cannot make standard of care decisions. It simply don't have the education and experience necessary to make those kind of determinations. And in those cases, we be either one of y'all as board members or another outside expert that we've retained as a consulting expert witness receives the information that we've gathered and makes a determination based on the questions that we provide to them. So I am, and now to turn to the statistics, I'm not going to go over them line by line. You can review them at your leisure, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'll just point out that in fiscal year 2022, the average time for closing complaints was 351 days, over 100 days more, or almost 100 days more than the TDR average. But now we brought it down to less than the TDR average in 2023. Also, the complaints closed in each month is was 33%. Now it's up to 59%, which actually exceeds the TDR average typically. I think a lot of this is due to the fact that we've been able to retain so many good expert witnesses to help get these otherwise bottlenecked cases resolved. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Actually, we had already had a previous meeting not a board meeting about this, but
Yeah.
I know a lot of midwives get confused or are concerned about not being able to see the complaint, make comments about the complaint. There's some confusion in this area. Can you kind of explain that part? I think when you explained it to me last time, it helped me understand your
Sure.
process better. Yeah.
In fact, I don't want to misquote the actual law that determines the admissible, or rather, when we can release certain documentation that's contained with our investigatory file. It's actually in our department's enacting statute, and it midwives as a classified as a medical profession program is subject to some pretty restrictive statutory mandates about what we can and can't release. And now I don't know. Look, and really, this Derek, if you'd like to weigh in, please feel free. This kind of department-wide policy is more of a GC matter. I just kind of do what I'm told, but the restrictions are, yes, they're definitely there. Derek, do you want this one?
Yeah, I can jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do have some statutes in our, as Chris was saying, in Chapter 51, which is TDLR's broad statutory chapter, but it provides for a certain list of healthcare programs that includes midwives, for which the information concerning complaints is considered, what we call it, super confidential, meaning it's not subject to disclosure while we're in the investigative phase of the case. And so we understand that, because of that, it makes it difficult for someone who has been complained on to understand what the complaint was, what the nature of the complaint was. But just because of the medical information involved and things like that, just during the investigation phase, we can't release that information. So I also want to say, just because a complaint has been filed does not mean TDLR is taking negative action against you. We have to investigate complaints. And so some complaints have no merit at all. Some of them do. And so our first job is to find out what are the facts on the case, regarding that specific complaint. And so if we do decide that there is, or there could be merit to the case and it's within our jurisdiction, at that point, we will open a case and we will issue what's called a notice of alleged violation. And then once you get that, then that's kind of the initiation of a case against you, at which point, that's when you'll have the opportunity to respond, to provide more information, giving your side of the story. And because it is an open case, at that point, we'll be able to share more information with you. So just while we're in the investigation phase, you may not be able to get much information about the complaint, but don't let that panic you. We will let you know once you need to start worrying, and that's once you get that notice of alleged violation, if you get it.
Yeah, well said. And if you want to look at the exact restrictions that restrictions that we're referring to, it's in our government occupational code, chapter 51, and it is it is. I'll here rather than him and I'll get you that information and provide it to you at a later time. But
Okay.
excuse me, is this it? Yeah, I just don't want to. Oh, here it is. 51254, confidentiality of complaint and disciplinary information. It provides a laundry list of the programs that this confidentiality mandates apply to, and also the details of what can and can't be disclosed.
Okay. Dr. Guillory, unmute.
Thank you. The
Thanks.
question I had is I totally understand that you're still in the phase of trying to find out if it has any merit. And in that case, once you find out it doesn't have merit, what happens to that information? Is it ever stored? Is it ever discoverable? Does it disappear?
I think we're under a duty to retain our files for 5-7 years, multiple years. And once that time period expires, we are authorized to destroy it. However, during that period of record retention, as a state agency, basically almost all of our investigatory material and case files are subject to open records requests. And so if you request, 20 cases trying to find some particular information, we do produce all 20 of them subject to our open records division's decision on what can and can't be released. So yes, they even though the complaint may be, worthless, its very existence is subject to production to a proper open records request. Yes, at least for the period of the record retention.
Thank you.
And just to add to that, there will be a note in our file that the case was closed and a justification for why it was closed. So it's just like, if you're arrested, that doesn't mean you're guilty of something, to put it in kind of a criminal context. And that, if you're acquitted of that charge, the fact of the arrest will still be on your record, but it will say acquitted. So it's similar to that. It will still be, we have to keep records, as Chris said, but there will be a notation as to why it was dismissed.
Mhm. I think the place where the midwives get the most frustrated is when in the investigatory process, when they don't know what the complaint is and they can't respond directly. And so they don't really know how to respond. And I think that's the place where people, I get a lot of phone calls about, how do I handle this? Why can't I get this information? How come I don't get to know? I think that's the most frustrating place.
And just the point, because obviously we're creatures of statute, we can only act within the jurisdiction
Right.
that we're granted by the legislature. But in this section that I was referring to in 254, if you look at the section F, the department may not be compelled to release or disclose complaint and investigation information or materials if the department has not issued a notice of alleged violation relating to the information or materials. So basically, once that NOAV goes out, you or the respondent as a person identified in section D that these records can be released to, once that NOAV is issued, then you have the right to everything in our investigatory file, probably.
Okay.
There may be some, there may be some restrictions, but I mean, at that point, we no longer have that blanket protection. But before that, it's going to be difficult.
Okay. I think that's important for people to know and understand. Mhm.
I understand. Yeah, I know it also kind of, it can be frustrating on our end too, because we want to provide as much information as we can to help place these violations or allegations really into context to determine whether this is something we even need to take action on. And by providing the information to y'all, maybe we could get better perspective on that. But again, we can only do what we have the authority to do.
Right. Oh, so I guess in some ways your hands are tied.
Yeah.
Too is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Anybody else have any questions about this or for Chris? Oh. Okay, thanks. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I'm happy to be of help. And again, if you have any questions offline, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, next, the Compliance Division, Mary Hoffman. Is Mary around?
I apologize. I was giving the report on mute.
Oh, okay.
So that all over again. I apologize. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Mary Hoffman. I'm one of the team leads in the Compliance Division. I'll be providing the staff report for you today. As mentioned, staff are working with the Education and Examination Division on the revision to the Texas Midwifery Manual. And we have also been assisting the Office of General Counsel on proposed rules. In addition to that, regarding our outreach, I do have a correction regarding the TDLR Health Monitor publication. It actually has been delayed. In the report, it states that it was published late October, but we do expect it to be published within the next couple of weeks. So you can look out for that. That is my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thanks, Mary.
You're welcome.
Okay, next, field inspections, Delinda Ju.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Delinda Ju. I'm a Field Inspections Division Liaison. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I will be providing you all the staff report. For fiscal year 2022, we had 1. Fiscal year 2023, we had 1. Current projects, there are no pending inspections in this program due at this time. And outreach, no updates to report. This will end my report. Thank you.
And just for clarity, these are inspecting the schools in Texas.
Correct, the midwifery education courses, yes.
Yeah, okay. Great, thank you.
Thank
Anybody
you.
have any questions about this? No. Okay, all right. Executive Office, Christina Kaiser.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and board members. I'm Christina Kaiser, and I'm coming to you today as the Acting Executive Director of TDLR. I have a couple of updates to share with you relating to the Executive Office. I believe the last time you met was in June. Is that correct? So since then, we've had a couple of changes. We have a new Deputy Executive Director for Licensing Services, and that is Steve Bruno. You may recognize his name. He was formerly the Government Relations Officer and then the Legislative Director for the agency. He has a total of 12 years experience with the agency, and he has just moved up to his new role in the last couple of months. So congratulations to Steve. Very new to her role, in fact, actually not even officially in the role yet, is Brandy Myers is our new Deputy Executive Director for Administrative Services. Brandy has been with the agency for over 4 years already, serving as the agency's Chief Financial Officer, and she's moving up into a role that will oversee financial and other administrative responsibilities of the agency. And then I'll also share with you that I am temporarily serving as acting executive director. Our executive director, Mike Ayers-Mendez, resigned from TDLR last week. He's going to be pursuing some other opportunities, and we wish him all the best in those endeavors. One final change I'll tell you about at the personnel level. We have a new director of field inspections. Eric Beverly, who was previously in that role, was offered and accepted the position of executive director of the Sunset Commission. And so, of course, he left the agency to accept that role, and we hired or promoted Chris Russey to take over that director position. Some of you may recognize Chris Russey's name. He's been with TDLR for 9 years. He was in the enforcement division for the bulk of that time, and then for the last couple of years, he has been a manager in our compliance division. So I wish everybody well in their new positions. Just the other thing I'd mention to you is that we are heavily engaged in bill implementation at this time. When you met last time, the legislative session had just ended, and I'll just give you a few numbers. Sorry, I'm not on the right page in my notes. So in the legislative session that just ended, that the legislative session ran from January to June of this year, 2023, there were a total across all subject matter, there were a total of 8,046 bills filed in the session. 1,246 actually passed, and that represents about 15% of everything that got filed. TDLR was tracking 492 bills that somehow related to one of the professions that we regulated. The TDLR related bills that were ultimately enacted into law numbered at 81. So that was about 16% of everything that we were tracking. So at the end of each legislative session, of course, we are responsible for putting into operation any statute changes that are enacted by the legislature. And so in order to do that, we have created a number of bill implementation teams. To be specific, we have 28 teams made up of agency staff, and those teams are collectively responsible for some form of implementation work on 55 bills. Now, there's a difference. I said 81 passed, we're implementing 55. Some bills that pass don't actually require us to do anything, to change any process, change any form, anything like that. But out of those, 55 do. And so we're hard at work on those right now. Some of the activities involved in implementation include making rule changes. And if you've been on this board for a while, you have seen rule changes in the past that resulted from legislative changes. Modification of agency procedures or forms. Sometimes even modification of agency structures, like who reports to you or what division is responsible for some particular task. Sometimes those kind of things need to be changed as the result of legislation. A big part of it is simply communication to the industry, including advisory boards, but also the industry at large, and also communication to the public about laws that have changed. As it happened, there were not any bills that we tracked or that ultimately got enacted this year that directly impacted the midwifery industry. And so I'm going to conclude my report there. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thanks for the update on all the changes. Those are big changes.
They are,
Mhm.
but we're excited. We're looking forward, and we have, a body of folks in leadership positions who have a lot to offer.
Yeah, that's great. Who is taking over Steve's previous job?
That has not been posted yet.
Okay.
We have other folks that were in the GR Government Relations Office, along
Okay.
with Steve, who are still helping with some of that work. But the actual legislative director position is kind of on hold at the moment.
Okay. Okay, good to know. Okay, that's a lot of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm glad none of those bills are affecting us, though.
Yeah, you got off easy this session.
Yeah, we did. That's not always the case.
Right.
Anybody else have any questions for Christina? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's move on to agenda item G. Derek?
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Derek Burkhalter. I'm the Assistant General Counsel for TDLR assigned to the Midwives program. So this is a really exciting agenda item to present to you today. And this meeting was kind of set up very quickly. And I know we have a lot of other activities that we're planning to work with the work groups on, and we wanted to show some progress on those, but this was kind of a fast track agenda item. And let me share my screen just to show you what we're dealing with. Okay, can everyone see the rule text on the screen? Okay, and is my audio coming through okay? I just want to make sure everyone can hear. Okay, so this is rule 115.80. This is our rule on fees. And so this rule change would only change two numbers. That would be the initial license application fee. We're changing that from $275 down to $195. And then the renewal application fee, which is for a 2-year renewal period, we're reducing from $550 down to $390. So as you know, back in September 2019, we used to have a floor on what we could set fees on, and it was set based on the 1993 fees. So we've finally had a chance to look at our budget and identify some savings that we can, justify lowering the fees based on those. So we wanted to kind of set this rulemaking on a fast track because we wanted to get it in place by January 1st, so that as midwives renew this upcoming February, they can take advantage of those savings. So this comes out to $80 per year. And like I said, we're kind of doing this a little bit differently this time because we are trying to get it effective so fast. So rather than have 2 advisory board meetings, one before we publish and one after, we're just having this one meeting. And we've actually already published this in the Texas Register. That happened on October 13th. So we're right in the middle of the 30-day public comment period, and that's going to end on November 13th. We have not yet received any comments. I assume, the midwives are okay with their fees being lowered generally. So our plan is, this is the only rule change. So our plan is to bring this to the commission at its December 1st meeting and hopefully have the rule effective and in place by January 1st. So I know we don't have a quorum today, so we can't really take a vote or take any actions, but this is really just to kind of let everyone know that this change is taking place. And everyone will hopefully have a little bit more money in their pocket this year because of that. So I think that about covers it. If there were any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any way we can vote on it by email or anything like that? It sounds like we need to do it as soon as possible if you want to get it on the fees changed by January. Is that right, sir?
Well, so it's actually not required that you take a vote on this.
I can't imagine anyone saying no.
Right.
Exactly.
Because the advisory board is advisory, and so ultimately it's the commission that takes the final action. And this doesn't involve any standard of care or scope of practice issues that might require a vote from you. So because this is just a fee change, this is more kind of a formality, and we'll just take it straight to the commission in December.
Derek, I want to just kind of point out kind of the background for this, because this wasn't something that we could just change. There were a number of steps that were required, including a legislative change, which is always a difficult process to engage in. So this is actually kind of a big deal that we've made it this far and we're here.
Yes, absolutely. We had that statute had to be removed, so that floor is no longer there. We had to make sure we had enough money in our budget to cover this, and also that it was still covering the cost of administering the program. So yeah, it looks really easy on the screen, but there are a lot of steps that had to go into all of this. So this is the kind of getting it across the finish line.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then my other question is, if we do receive any public comment, can it still go directly to the commissioners for a vote?
Yes.
Okay. It
Yes,
doesn't
we
need to
will.
come back here.
Correct.
Okay.
We will just send those public comments straight to the commissioners, so they'll have the benefit of those comments as well. And anyone can feel free to sign up to give a public comment at the commission meeting itself, either by speaking for 3 minutes or submitting a written comment beforehand.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions about this? Okay, thanks. Derek, thanks for your work on this and moving it quick.
Absolutely.
The Midwives of Texas, thank you.
I'm happy to deliver.
Okay, great.
Metaphor.
All righty. just, I don't think the minutes. Well, we can't vote on the minutes. So do we just save that for our next meeting? Anna,
Yeah,
is that the deal?
post them on the next agenda.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, agenda item H, any recommendations for the next board meeting? I'd like to get one more NRP work group meeting. And then maybe we can have something to present after that.
Okay.
Okay. At some point. Roxanne?
I apologize for jumping back a couple of steps. On the four, we were looking at the school inspections and the 4 different schools. Can we review what those are? Our four Texas approved educational programs.
Most definitely, yes. Thank you.
I am wanting to make sure. I've been getting a couple inquiries, and I just want to make sure I have the correct current.
Should Michael Strawn tell us who those people are from education, or is that, because I think Delinda just does field inspections, so I don't think she knows all of the programs, but Michael, I don't know if he's still around.
There he is.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Michael Strawn, Education Examination Division. Yeah, I can absolutely get those. I don't have the 4 offhand. Sorry, I don't keep a list, but I will try and get those to you as soon as possible, if not before we close out this meeting today. But I will get to work on that immediately.
Thanks, Michael.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, I guess for agenda item I, discussion of next time and day of next board meeting, we can just figure that out when it's needed, right?
Yes, ma'am. I'll pull the board for the next one.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, I guess that concludes our meeting.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, that was a quickie. Thanks, everybody.
And if y'all know anybody who would like to be on the board, we still have a midwives position vacant. So please just have them contact me and I'll let them know how to apply. Thank y'all so much.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you.
Have a good day, everybody.
You too.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.